My girlfriend said, "I'm done putting effort into us. You're basically a friend I live with." I replied, "Great." Then I matched her energy, stopped doing chores for her, stopped paying for her outings, and focused on my own life. When she saw me head out with someone new 2 weeks later, I, 28, male, had been with Laura, 26, for 2 years. We shared an apartment downtown, split the rent, and on paper we were equals. But anyone watching our daily routine would have seen something different. I was the one who cooked dinner most nights, folded her laundry alongside mine, planned our weekends, and covered the check whenever we went out because she always seemed short on cash. I told myself it was love, that relationships required effort, that I was building something worth keeping. Then came the night everything changed. It was a Tuesday evening. I had just finished cleaning the kitchen after making pasta, her favorite dish with the garlic bread she liked crispy on the edges. Laura walked in from the bedroom, phone in hand, barely glancing at the plate I had set out for her. She dropped onto the couch with a heavy sigh. "We need to talk," she said. Those 4 words landed like stones in my chest. I dried my hands on the dish towel and sat down across from her, trying to read her expression. Her face was blank, almost bored. "I've been thinking," she continued, scrolling through her phone as she spoke. "I'm done putting effort into us. Honestly, you're basically a friend I live with at this point." The words hung in the air between us. No emotion, no apology, just a flat statement delivered like she was commenting on the weather. I waited for her to say more, to explain, to soften the blow somehow. She didn't. She just kept scrolling, her thumb moving across the screen in slow, deliberate swipes. "Okay," I said. She looked up, surprised. "Okay, that's it? What do you want me to say? You just told me how you feel. I thought you'd, I don't know, argue or something." I stood up, calm and steady. "If that's how you see us, then there's nothing to argue about. Consider your energy matched." Her eyebrows lifted slightly, but she said nothing. I walked back to the kitchen, covered her plate with foil, and put it in the fridge. Then I went to the bedroom and closed the door. That night I slept better than I had in months. The next morning I woke up with a strange clarity. Laura's words had cut through the fog I had been living in, the one where I convinced myself that doing more would somehow make her care more. Now I saw it for what it was. I had been pouring effort into someone who had stopped reciprocating a long time ago. I made coffee, but only 1 cup. I scrambled eggs, but only enough for myself. When Laura shuffled into the kitchen at 9, hair messy and eyes half closed, she stopped short at the sight of me eating alone at the counter. "You didn't make extra?" she asked. "Nope." "Seriously? You said you're done putting in effort, so am I." She stared at me for a moment, then laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. "You're being childish." I shrugged. "Call it what you want." She opened the fridge, grabbed a yogurt, and left the kitchen without another word. I finished my breakfast in peace, rinsed my plate, and headed to the gym. It was the first time in months I had gone without asking if she wanted to come along or adjusting my schedule around hers. At the gym, I ran harder than usual, pushed more weight, stayed longer. The endorphins kicked in, and I felt something I hadn't felt in a while. Control. When I got home, Laura was on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, watching a reality show. "Can you grab me water?" she called out without looking away from the screen. "You've got legs," I said, walking past her to the shower. I heard her huff behind me, but I didn't stop. Under the hot water, I made a decision. No more cooking for 2 unless she asked and offered to help. No more paying for dinners out or movies or anything unless she covered her half up front. No more doing her laundry, picking up her dry cleaning, or remembering her mother's birthday. I was done being the only one holding us together. By the end of the first week, Laura's attitude shifted. She stopped making passive comments about my behavior and started watching me more closely. I came home from work, changed into gym clothes, and left again without explanation. I went to dinners with coworkers, drinks with old friends I had neglected, and even signed up for a weekend hiking trip I had been putting off. One evening, I was getting ready to go out when Laura appeared in the doorway of the bathroom. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Out." "With who? Does it matter?" Her jaw tightened. "It's weird that you're being so secretive." I finished buttoning my shirt and looked at her in the mirror. I'm not being secretive. I'm just not reporting my schedule to you anymore. She crossed her arms. This is ridiculous. You're acting like we broke up. You're the one who said we're just friends who live together. Friends don't owe each other explanations. Her face flushed, but she didn't respond. I grabbed my jacket and wallet, walked past her, and left the apartment. That night, I met up with 3 guys from my old soccer league. We ate wings, watched the game on the big screen, and laughed until my sides hurt. I didn't think about Laura once. When I got home at midnight, the apartment was dark. I assumed she was asleep, but as I walked past the living room, I saw her silhouette on the couch, the glow of her phone illuminating her face. She didn't say anything, and neither did I. 2 weeks after her declaration, I met someone. Her name was Nina, 27, a graphic designer who worked in the building next to mine. We had crossed paths a few times at the coffee shop between our offices, exchanged smiles, small talk about the weather, the usual. But this time, when she asked if I wanted to grab lunch, I said yes. We went to a bistro 2 blocks away, sat outside under the umbrellas, and talked for an hour. She was easy to be around, quick to laugh, and genuinely interested in what I had to say. No phone in her hand, no distracted glances, just presence. When the check came, she insisted on splitting it. I liked that. We should do this again, she said as we walked back. I'd like that. We exchanged numbers, and I spent the rest of the afternoon in a surprisingly good mood. That evening, I got home earlier than usual and found Laura in the kitchen, reheating leftovers in the microwave. She glanced at me, then did a double take. You look happy, she said, her tone wary. I am. Why? No reason, just had a good day. She watched me pour a glass of water, her eyes narrowing slightly. You're seeing someone. I turned to face her, calm and unbothered. And if I am? Her mouth opened, closed, then opened again. Are you serious right now? You said we're done. You said we're just friends. Friends can see other people. That's not what I meant. Then you should have been clearer. She slammed the microwave door shut, even though it was still running. You're unbelievable. I didn't respond. I just walked to my room, closed the door, and texted Nina to confirm our plans for Saturday. We were going to an art exhibit downtown, something I never would have done with Laura because she always said museums were boring. Saturday arrived, and I spent the afternoon getting ready. I showered, shaved, put on a dark button-down shirt, and the nice jeans I saved for occasions that mattered. I even used the cologne I hadn't touched in months. When I stepped out of the bedroom, Laura was sitting at the dining table with her laptop, supposedly working, but her eyes tracked me across the room. Where are you going dressed like that? She asked. Out. With her? Yep. Her fingers froze over the keyboard. You're really doing this. I'm really doing this. I grabbed my keys and wallet from the counter, checked my phone for Nina's text confirming she was downstairs, and headed for the door. Just as I reached for the handle, Laura's voice stopped me. Ethan, wait. I turned around. She was standing now, arms wrapped around herself, looking smaller than I had seen her in a long time. Can we talk? She asked, her voice quieter now, almost pleading. We've been talking. You told me how you felt. I listened. I didn't mean it like that. I was just frustrated. You said I was basically a friend you live with. I took you at your word. Her eyes started to glisten, but I didn't feel the pull I used to feel when she cried. That instinct to fix things, to comfort her, to make it better had disappeared somewhere between the past 2 weeks of silence and self-focus. I made a mistake, she said. That's something you'll have to work through. I opened the door and stepped into the hallway, leaving her standing there in the apartment we shared, but no longer felt like home. Downstairs, Nina was, waiting by her car, wearing a light green dress that made her eyes stand out. She smiled when she saw me, and I smiled back. We drove to the gallery, spent 2 hours walking through the exhibits, talking about the art, laughing at the overly serious descriptions on the plaques. She held my arm as we walked, not possessively, just comfortably. Afterward, we grabbed dinner at a small Italian place, with candles on the tables and soft jazz playing in the background. She told me about her work, her family, her dream of opening her own design studio someday. I listened, asked questions, and realized how long it had been since I had a conversation that felt like this. Easy, balanced, mutual. When I dropped her off at her apartment later that night, she leaned over and kissed me on the cheek. I had a really great time, she said. So did I. Let's do it again soon. Definitely. I drove home with the windows down, music playing, feeling lighter than I had in months. When I walked back into the apartment, Laura was waiting on the couch, arms crossed, face tight. Did you sleep with her? She demanded. That's none of your business. It is my business. We're still together. I stopped in the middle of the living room and looked at her. Really looked at her. No, Laura, we're not. You ended us 2 weeks ago. You just didn't realize it until tonight. Her face crumpled and she started to cry. Real tears this time. Not the kind she used to get her way. But I didn't move toward her. I didn't offer comfort or explanations. I just stood there, calm and resolute. Good night, I said, and walked to my room. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and a flood of text messages. All from Laura. I scrolled through them without opening the notifications. Each one was a variation of the same thing. Apologies, promises to change, accusations that I was being cruel, pleas for another chance. I put my phone on silent and went for a run. When I got back, Laura was sitting at the kitchen table, eyes red and puffy, hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee. She looked up when I walked in, and for a moment neither of us spoke. I'm sorry, she said finally. I was taking you for granted. I know. I want to fix this. It's too late for that. Her face twisted in anguish. How can you say that? 2 weeks ago, you loved me. 2 weeks ago, I was doing everything for someone who didn't appreciate it. Now I'm doing things for myself. So that's it? You're just giving up on us? I poured myself a glass of water and leaned against the counter. You gave up first, Laura. I just stopped pretending I didn't notice. She stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. You're seeing someone else. That's why you're being like this. I'm being like this because I finally woke up. Nina has nothing to do with it. Nina, she repeated, bitterness dripping from the name. How convenient. Believe what you want. It doesn't change anything. She grabbed her phone and stormed out of the kitchen. A few minutes later, I heard the front door slam. I finished my water, made breakfast, and spent the rest of the day cleaning out my closet, donating clothes I didn't wear anymore, reorganizing my space. It felt good to clear out the clutter. Over the next few days, Laura oscillated between ignoring me completely and trying to engage me in conversation. She cooked dinner one night and set a plate out for me without asking. I thanked her, ate it, and washed my own dish. She asked if I wanted to watch a movie together. I said I had plans. She offered to do my laundry. I told her I had already done it. Each small rejection seemed to chip away at her composure. By Thursday, she was visibly unraveling. I came home from work to find her sitting in the dark living room, staring at nothing. Are you okay? I asked, more out of courtesy than concern. No, she said. I'm not. I waited for her to elaborate, but she didn't. I turned on a lamp and sat down in the chair across from her. What do you want me to say, Laura? I want you to tell me there's still a chance. I leaned back and exhaled slowly. There isn't. She flinched like I had hit her. You're really done. I'm really done. Because of her. Because of you. Because of how you made me feel for months. Because I finally realized I deserve better than someone who sees me as a convenience. Her hands clenched into fists. I never said that. You didn't have to. Your actions said it for you. She stood up, her face flushed with anger now. You're acting like you're some kind of saint, but you're not. You're vindictive. You're punishing me. I'm not punishing you. I'm just not rewarding you anymore. She opened her mouth to respond, but nothing came out. After a long moment, she turned and walked to her bedroom, slamming the door behind her. I sat there for a while, staring at the closed door, feeling nothing but relief. By the end of the third week, Laura's desperation reached a new level. She started leaving notes around the apartment, little handwritten messages on sticky notes. One on the bathroom mirror said, I miss you. Another on the coffee maker said, can we please talk? I peeled them off one by one and threw them away. She also started dressing differently, wearing the outfits I used to compliment, doing her makeup the way she knew I liked. She timed her mornings to overlap with mine, lingering in the kitchen, asking about my day, offering to make me coffee. I kept my responses short and polite, never giving her an opening. One evening, I was on the couch reading when she sat down next to me, closer than necessary. "Do you remember our first date?" she asked. "I do. We went to that rooftop bar, and you spilled your drink because you were nervous." "I remember. I thought it was cute." I looked up from my book. "What's your point, Laura?" "My point is that we were happy once. We can be happy again." I closed the book and set it aside. We were happy when you put in effort. The second you stopped, so did the happiness. "I'm putting in effort now." "It's too late." Her face crumpled, and she grabbed my hand. "Please, Ethan, don't do this." I pulled my hand away gently but firmly. "I'm not doing anything. I'm just living my life." She stood up abruptly, tears streaming down her face. "You're cruel. You know that?" "No, I'm just done." She ran to her room, and I heard the door lock behind her. I picked up my book and kept reading. The breaking point came on a Friday night. I had plans to meet Nina for dinner at a new steakhouse downtown. I was in my room getting ready when Laura knocked on the door. "Can I come in?" she asked. "It's open." She stepped inside, and I could tell immediately that something was different. Her eyes were puffy, but there was a hardness to her expression now, a resolve I hadn't seen before. "I'm moving out," she said. I stopped adjusting my collar and looked at her. "When?" "Next weekend. I found a place with a friend." "Okay? That's all you have to say? Okay? What do you want me to say?" She laughed, but it was bitter and hollow. "I don't know. Maybe that you'll miss me. Maybe that you're sad this is how it's ending." I thought about it for a moment, really thought about it. "I'm not sad. I'm relieved." Her face went pale. "You're relieved?" "Yeah. I've been carrying this relationship for months and I'm tired. You moving out means I can finally breathe." She stared at me, her mouth slightly open, as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Then without another word, she turned and walked out, slamming the door behind her. I finished getting ready and left for dinner. Nina was waiting at the restaurant, and when she saw me, her face lit up. We ordered steaks, shared a bottle of wine, and talked about everything and nothing. Halfway through the meal, she reached across the table and took my hand. "You seem different tonight," she said. "Different how?" "Lighter, like something lifted." I smiled. Something did. The next week passed quickly. Laura avoided me completely, spending most of her time in her room or out of the apartment. On moving day, her friends showed up with a truck, and they started loading boxes. I stayed in my room, giving them space, not offering to help. It wasn't out of spite, it was just a boundary. She had made her choice, and I had made mine. When the last box was loaded, Laura knocked on my door one final time. "I'm leaving," she said. "Safe travels." She hesitated, then said, "I hope you're happy with her." "I am." She nodded, her eyes glistening, and then she was gone. I heard the front door close, heard the truck pull away, and then silence. Complete, beautiful silence. I walked out into the living room, looked around at the empty spaces where her things used to be, and felt nothing but peace. That evening, Nina came over. We cooked dinner together, laughed at a bad joke she made while chopping onions, and ate on the couch while watching a documentary about ocean life. She leaned against me, and I wrapped my arm around her shoulders, feeling something I hadn't felt in a long time. Contentment. "You seem happy," she said, echoing her words from the restaurant. "I am," I said. "For the first time in a while, I really am." She looked up at me and smiled. "Good, you deserve it." And for the first time in months, I believed it. Epilogue. The aftermath. A month after Laura moved out, I ran into her at a coffee shop downtown. She was sitting alone at a corner table scrolling through her phone, looking tired. I almost didn't say anything, but she looked up and saw me before I could leave. "Hey," she said. "Hey, can we talk? Just for a minute." I glanced at my watch. I was meeting Nina in 20 minutes, but I figured I could spare a few. "Sure," I said, sitting down across from her. She put her phone down and looked at me, and I could see the weight she was carrying. "I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything." "I appreciate that. I didn't realize what I had until it was gone." "That sounds cliché, but it's true." "It usually is." She smiled sadly. "You look good." "Happy." "I am." Is it serious? With Nina? It's getting there. She nodded, her eyes dropping to her coffee cup. I'm glad. You deserve someone who appreciates you. So do you. She looked up, surprised. You mean that? I do, but it won't be me. She swallowed hard and nodded. I know. We sat there for another moment, the silence between us no longer heavy, just final. Then I stood up, wished her well, and walked out. I didn't look back. Outside, the sun was shining, the air was warm, and I felt free. I texted Nina that I was on my way, and she replied with a smiley face and a heart. I smiled, put my phone in my pocket, and kept walking.